In politics, you're either on message or you are losing. Let's get to it. Welcome to On Message, a weekly look at where the battle lines are drawn and who is winning the war of words. This week, ignore the distraction. If you had to recap the week in Utah politics, what would you say was the most important thing that happened? If you judge by the headlines, you may say the answer is clearly the legislature passing a pair of resolutions relating to the teaching of critical race theory and one on gun rights. You also might say it was the governor going head-to-head with legislative leaders over whether or not those issues would be addressed in a special session. Those two issues don't fall within the scope of what the legislature can use as a reason to call itself into special session, so they instead took the rare path of calling an extraordinary session. What the heck's an extraordinary session, you ask? Hey, so did I. It's when only one chamber calls itself into session. And in this case, both chambers called themselves individually into session to pass resolutions on the two aforementioned issues. Quite extraordinary indeed. Back to my original question though, what was the most important thing that happened this week in Utah politics? If you said the special session scope or the extraordinary session resolutions, sorry, no points for you. The most important thing that actually got done was the one with the biggest price tag. What the legislature really did this week was vote to accept about $1.7 billion in federal funds and begin the process of appropriating that money for the kinds of things you can only do with that kind of cash, including improving our water and technology infrastructure and tackling the housing crisis. But you likely heard a whole lot less about that, if anything at all. By the way, it's not entirely your fault that you may not have been paying attention to the right thing. The media was also quite fascinated with the resolutions as well. Too often, we, the consumers of media and the media itself, get distracted by the politics and forget to look at the policy. So, what's the lesson? It's easy to get distracted. The story grabbing the headlines isn't always the thing you should be paying attention to, and it's all too rarely the thing that actually impacts your life. Now, in the end, the House and the Senate passed resolutions taking a stand against critical race theory, which is not actually taught in schools in Utah, and in favor of establishing Utah as a Second Amendment sanctuary, whatever that may be. A quick civics lesson: a resolution is basically a fancy press release. It doesn't really do anything. It's not a bill. It doesn't change the law. But while everyone was up in arms on both sides, actual governing was being done, whether you noticed it or not. There are those in government who actually want Utahns to know about some really important things they are doing. But the smart policies are no match for the distraction of the moment. And on the national level, there are certainly those who have learned to use the distraction to keep you upset about relatively trivial or completely made-up issues, specifically so you won't see what they are doing where it does make a difference. Learn to detect political misdirection for what it is, and you'll not only be a better citizen, we'll be on our way to being a stronger country. That's it for this week. More on Message in the next issue of the Utah Political Underground. Make sure you visit the site and sign up for our weekly email update. Hey, you can also find more On Message videos, in-depth Utah political stories and analysis, plus podcasts and so much more at utahpoliticalunderground.com.